These doors are so old and worn out that the window regulators are shot. Hell, most people don't even know what these things are for anymore. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take the old regulator out, but we're going to put new modern electric window in there. Not tough at all. It bolts in really easy. I'm going to show you how in 2 secs. Stripping your doors is pretty easy. Just take your panel off, and then your window here, we're going to roll this guy all the way down, and I'm going to go ahead and take off this rubber here. Now maybe you don't necessarily need to do all this stuff to get the glass installed or the new window regulator installed, but I like to do this anyway because 9 times out of 10 this is going to be bad and it's going to need to be replaced anyway. So just expect it, and then you won't have to be surprised afterwards. Okay, now on these channels up on top, how I like to take those off is I like to get a little plastic spatula like this, and I'm going to get a hook like this. And I'm going to go ahead and gently pull back my rubber here all the way down. And the reason you need to be careful is that if you damage where these clips go in, then it's going to be difficult to fix them. So I got them loosened up. Now I'll go ahead and pull them out one by one. I'll get a hook on the back here and go ahead and pull it out. These will generally come out easy for you because they're generally going to be old and tired, but occasionally they'll fight. If you're worried about your paint, you're going to want to get some tape up on here. But we're going to be painting this soon, so I don't have to be that worried about it. So just give me a minute to wrestle these guys out of here, and I'll get this door all stripped, and we'll be back to show you what comes next. So you've got 2 nuts down here in the bottom, 2 screws. We're going to take these guys off. They're holding onto a back channel right here, and I want to take that off so I can move my glass back so I can get my vent window out. The other nut for this is right here, and sometimes these will be rusted, so give me a minute on that one. So you'll need to roll the window up in order to get this guy out of here. I suppose you could just leave it in here down at the bottom too, but I like to get it all the way out so it's not in my way. And with that done, now I'll roll my window back down. I'm going to move it all the way to the back. And that's going to give me clearance to take this out. This guy's got 2 screws down here. And what you want to do is you want to take these ones off first, because if you take off the screws at the top and then you do these, this will fall back and sometimes do damage. So you just got 3 little screws up here. These screws are kind of specific. They're really small, and you want to make sure that you don't lose them. You can't get a deeper screw and put it in there, or you'll do damage to your vent window. If you lose them or don't have them, we sell a nice little kit that'll take care of all these screws in your cab. So that might be a nice thing to get at the same time. Now I'm taking this guy out at the top, holding onto my vent window so it doesn't fall. I'll just move it back a little bit. I'm going to come up. Now when I come to the top, I'm going to go 90 degrees with it, and that's how you'll get this bottom brace out. Now I'm going to get my glass out. I'm going to roll it all the way up to the top, and when I get to the top right here, I want to make sure that my channel doesn't get stuck in the door down here. I want to make sure that these guys are all the way up at the top. Now when it's at the top here, I want you to notice right here, it's got a little bit of a dip in the top and the bottom. That's where your wheel is going to be able to come out. So I'm going to slip this forward like this, and then that wheel will pop out of there, and then I can go ahead and get the rest out like that. So that's nice and easy. Now I'll just take out my old window regulator and get a new one in. So now I'm going to go ahead and roll the window regulator down till the arms are about even right here. Then I'll go ahead and just take these 4 screws out. Hold on to this so it doesn't fall out. And then when you take this out, you got to make sure it doesn't fall forward and do damage to your paint job. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is that right here there's a channel, and this wheel right here rides in that channel. So all you need to do is just slip the wheel past the channel here, and then this will come off. And then you can just take this guy out like that. So you can see it's pretty old and tired, and you can compare it to the new one here. And one of the things that you'll want to notice is that this bolts in to the exact same holes as the old window regulator, and that's what makes it really nice and easy to install. You don't have to do any cutting or welding or any of the things that I used to have to do in the past. This used to be a real drag. Now you just bolt things in, you plug them in, you put electricity to them, and you're ready to rock. So this is how it's going to install. It's a bit bigger than your other one, and it's a little more difficult to get in. Down here at the bottom there's a brace, and it's going to kind of get into your way. So what you're going to do is you're going to install this and have this right here go into the brace like that, and then you'll be able to rotate everything in the door like that. So it'll get a bit like this. Underneath the brace, it's all in the door. Now we're just going to rotate this around. Now with my window regulator in, before I get any bolts in it, I have to make sure that this roller is in the channel right here, and I have to make sure that that channel has grease in it. So we're going to get grease for packing the bearings. Good thick grease, lasts a long time. So I'll get a little bit on that, and I'll get a little bit on my roller too. We want these to last a long time. These are the #1 thing that goes bad, so make sure that they're all greased up. So with that like that, I'll go ahead and get it in the channel. And now that that's there, I can get my bolts in the back here. So next I'm going to need to get the electrical power to the window and have it be able to go up and down so I can reassemble. This is the plug that's going to go ahead and attach to the motor. This right here is for your switch up and down. So I'll put this about here, and this is going to go through the door. What I'm going to do is drill some holes right here through the door and the A-pillar, and the kit comes with little protectors for there. You got to make sure that whenever you go through metal, you don't have it exposed to your wires. You're going to need rubber grommets and stuff that come with the kit. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. When I do that, what I normally like to do is get a smaller drill bit and get it started, because I can't open the door up all the way. I can't get a straight on drill here. So smaller hole gets me piloted, then I can go ahead and get a larger drill bit and just get larger and larger until I get to the right size I need for my grommets. So I'm going to get this set up, and then I'll show you what it looks like in a second here. Now I'm bringing my switch right here, the wiring for it right through this hole. And of course the metal might cut into your wires, even though they are generously wrapped. We still want to get something on there to protect them. So I'm just going to use some of this strong electric tape that I've got right here. You can also get some vacuum line and just cut it in half and put it in there. No big deal. Now when this is like this, this will sit right here like that, nice and comfortable. When I hooked up my motor though, my up and down was upside down. So I could just take the switch and do this, but then that's going to be kind of putting a bend on my wires that I don't like. This is a bit more natural here, so I'm going to leave it like that. If you run into the same situation, what you're going to do is you're just going to take this plug off of the motor, and then what you're going to do is get a small screwdriver, and we're just going to switch these two around. And to do that, there's a little plastic tab here, and we're going to fold that back. After that's done, then I'll take a really small screwdriver like this, and I'm looking for a little metal tab that's in there that I need to bend back in order to get it to come out. And so you just stick that in there like that and try to get that little tab there. It might take 1 or 2 times and then it'll come out. Now I'm just going to go ahead, and here's the little tab right here, you can see. So since I bent it back, I'm going to go ahead and bend it down a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and put these guys back in. And then you just go ahead and push this back down. Now they're all safe. Now I can go ahead and connect it back up. So I probably should have mentioned this before I got into all the wiring on this, but with the kit, you're going to have a red wire, obviously, for your power. It has a fuse that goes on it, and it'll have a receptacle that you can just go ahead and plug right into your fuse box. Now, your choices on that is you want to see if it's keyed on or if it's keyed off. So in other words, can I roll up my windows up and down if the key's not even in there? Or do I want the key to be in there and on in order for the windows to go up and down? So you'll need to choose that. Also, another thing on grounding. Grounding is one of your most important things on these kind of things. And you'd think that the door would have proper ground. I mean, it's bolted in and et cetera, but sometimes because of the paint or the rust or the corrosion over the years, you won't get a good ground between the door and the cab, and you'll need to run a separate ground wire from the door into the cab. So those are just some little things you'll want to choose when you're getting up into this. Now that I'm already here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take my track and I'm going to go all the way up to the top right here. You can see my rollers right here, and I'm going to get my glass. I'm going to go ahead and install this now. Before I install things, of course, you always want to make sure we're getting greased up. So again, we're going to be using bearing pack grease. This is the grease that goes on your front wheel bearings. We got to make sure these wheels are really greased up good, and we got to make sure that the channel is really greased up good. So I got these guys like this. Why don't you take a look at the glass here again, and remember that you've got like a little opening here in the rear, and you've got this little opening that's right here. So what I'm going to be doing is slipping this on the back. And then all I got to do is find my window in the front right here. Pop it in there. Bring my glass all the way back. And now I can go down. I'll hold on to it, make sure that I'm not scratching into my door or anything. And I get all the way to the bottom. I'll have the door, push it all the way back so that I can install my vent window. Now on your vent window, again, remember that you've got this bracket down here. You're going to have to go in at 90 degrees. I'm going to slip it down. Then we can go ahead and clear the regulator. We'll give it a rotate and then just slide up in here. And then I'd like to get just a couple of screws in the top here. I'm not going to get it too tight so that I can go ahead and get my screws in the bottom in. After they're in, then I can go ahead and finish these off the rest of the way. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my back channel in. So give me a second to finish this guy up. I'll show you how this guy goes. Now my back channel here, the window's going to need to be all the way up. And then usually what you want to do is slide this guy up in here and get this screw in first because it's the hardest to line up. All right, so with this here in, then we can go ahead our two screws down on the bottom. Get those in. And now we can go ahead and start putting our rubber in, but we're going to need the window back down. And then we'll install this. Now, here, I want you to notice these slots right here. Those slots are so that it'll bend and go in the corner like this. So you'll know this is the correct way, not this. So we take this and we're going to cram it up into this corner really good, because if you get any gaps in there, that's where you get that whistling noise when you're going down the freeway. So the whole time I'm doing this, I'm pushing forward and making sure it's staying in there. The corner is also a very important part. You need to make sure you're really cramming it up in this corner here. And you're going to get it in really good and make sure that it's all nice and even. So that's all looking good. Now what I'll do is I'll take my leftover here and I'll go ahead and slide it down inside the door. And once I get it all in, I can go ahead and get it in the tracks on the top as best as I can. But down at the bottom here, where the glass is still in, it is not going to go in there. So what I'll do is I'll get it in as best as I can, as far down as I can. I'll bring the window up, then I'll be able to feel inside and get the window channel in even better. Might have to go up or down a couple of times to get it all nice and perfect, but it is just rubber, so it's not that tough. And we're making sure we're staying in our channels. Get the bottom section here in. The rubber is a little bit longer than your channel, so if you have it hanging over, you know that's okay. Okay, so that's looking okay. So once that is done, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put these rubbers in at the very top. So we want the window down all the way at the bottom, and then when we install these, we're going to install the outside first because it's generally easier. You'll want to notice on this that it's got this like overhanging rubber edge right here. And you want to notice that it's got this little notch right here. Now that notch is going to go up to your window channel here. And then the back side will slip just behind the felt. So I'm going to get this placed in here, and I'm looking for the slots, and I'm going to get my clips right on my slots, but I'm not going to push them in just yet. I'm going to get things kind of lined up and looking good, and make sure it's even because the slot is slotted, so you can move this forward and back some, so we'll make sure we got it all good. Once we're looking good, then we can go ahead and push down and get it locked into the slot. Make sure you hold the rest of it. If this gets bent or anything, then it's really tough to straighten out. So there we go. Now that's all in, and the reason this has to go on first is because this side here, you'll notice, is all nice and fat and fuzzy. So if you stick the fat and fuzzy side in first, it's generally harder to get this piece on. So this is the same ball game here. This doesn't have any notch to either side, although you will want to kind of just put it up here and make sure that it does fit into the slots. These do go right side and left side. So if you get it up here and you're noticing that they're just not lining up, you just got the wrong side, you just get the other one, and then you'll be okay. So I'll tuck this behind there. I'll get all of my slots lined up. And then I'll snap those guys in. And I'm all set. So you can see that test nice and easy. because I got grease and everything and all my contact points, anything that's moving, all set. You can see it's not that long, it's not that tough to get your car nice and modern. Now what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the panel back on. I'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and cut a little slot right where the original crank went, and I'll put this in there, and I'll get that all done, but I don't need to bore you with all that. So you make sure you check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because you know what's going to happen. Next week I'm going to have another video out, and if you miss it, you're going to feel bad.